Hey YouTube, I was working on another video when the unpresidential debate fell on the floor, so I had to pick it up and say a few words about it. Now you may have heard about the presidential debate, which was in many ways very unpresidential. It was Tuesday night, and I found it to be chaotic, but insightful. Many pundits likened it to a dumpster fire, or worse. However, I don't quite agree with these characterizations. True, it was not in the mold of traditional debates, with things like dignity, respect, plus a couple of
"Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy"
thrown in. This was the continued de-evolution of the bully politics Donald Trump is known for.
Some money. Well, it did collapse.
That's called business, by the way.
I think it's real.
I did not.
Science this quite a bit.
Yeah, for 30 years.
Well,
he approved
million
NAFTA.
new jobs.
He approved
NAFTA. Helped to create more new jobs.
Well, you haven't done it in 30 years or 26 years.
Well, I've been a senator.
You haven't done it.
And I wrote about that in
You called it the gold standard. You've been right about the reality.
That means zero for troops, zero for vets.
Oh, you didn't delete them?
Allow her to respond, please.
Personal emails, not official.
33,000?
Well, we turned over 35,000. So it was.
What about the other 15,000?
Please allow her to respond. She didn't talk while you talked.
Yes, that's true. I didn't.
Because you
I
have
didn't
nothing
in
to
the
say.
first debate. But let's at
see what
least
happens.
focus
Allow her to
on some of
respond.
the
Let's see what
issues
happens.
that people care about tonight.
I'm relaxed. You're the basket case. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get nervous. Go ahead.
My name
promise
is,
you,
my
Donald,
name is
there's
mentioned.
nothing about you that makes anyone nervous.
You're losing so badly. You don't know what's happening.
Gentlemen.
No, Tuesday night's debate was emblematic of the men on the stage running for president. Trump, not willing to follow the rules negotiated by his campaign, attacking anyone who tried to keep him at his word, including the moderator, Chris Wallace.
First of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised.
Trump's followers see his interruptions and goading as a sign of strength, as opposed to the prepubescent antics of an emotionally stunted individual whose inherited wealth and pathological dishonesty never progressed beyond the awkwardness of a 12-year-old. For Biden, it was obvious that he had a message that he was trying to deliver, but was either having difficulty keeping his train of thought through the interruptions, or he was worried that Trump speaking over him would drown out his words. It was obvious Trump was getting to him when Biden referred to Trump,
This clown.
and told him
Would you shut up, man? Listen, who is on...
Biden would have been maligned in any debate before this one for calling Trump a liar, a fool, a racist, and a clown. But the level of unprofessionalism at which the debate was operating left these comments as a mere footnote. For his part, Biden was the only one trying to discuss policy over the next 4 years. He refused to legitimize the question of whether he would back an attempted court packing if Trump's pick was seated as a justice before the conclusion of the election. Many people have already voted, so the election is already underway. So it wouldn't be accurate to say before the election. Biden's timeline is a bit askew as well, as the court sits starting October 5th, when the election isn't until November 3rd. During the debate, the moments of greatest chaos occurred when Trump attempted to interrupt Biden and the vice president would not back down, which led to two of them talking over one another and forcing Wallace to raise his voice at the two of them to regain control of the forum. Well, regain as much control as possible.
Can I be honest? It's a very important question.
Try to be honest.
He stood up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to
and
the
he
question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you don't get rid of the Russians.
You know what? You're
not
true.
You're doing it.
You're going to
Not
have
true.
Gentlemen. I hate to raise my voice, but it seems to be. Why should I be different than the two of you? So here's.
Trump claimed during the debate that he was debating Joe Biden and Chris Wallace, a line that his defenders picked up on. But when you are the person breaking the debate rules, the moderator is going to be addressing you more frequently. It was proclaimed by Trump's defenders that Wallace interrupted Trump about 75 times and Joe Biden only 15. Contrary to what Donald Trump's defenders are trying to prove, I think this speaks more to the impropriety of Donald Trump than it does of Chris Wallace. For his part, I think Chris Wallace did as well as anyone could have under those circumstances. By one estimate, Trump interrupted Biden 128 times. This was not an unexpected dumpster fire. CNN surmised going in that Trump was going to be very aggressive from the outset, and Chris Wallace alluded to expecting that as well. But when Trump didn't stop that technique, and he continued it through the outset until the very end, Chris Wallace felt he had to step in to try and regain control. This debate was the expression of the personalities up on the stage. Trump was elected as a man with a history of racist practices, and he did not let down his followers.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
He was elected as a man who does not care about rules.
A very politically correct war.
Yeah. Well, we see that happening in Ramadi.
The other thing is with the terrorists, you have to take out their families. When you get these terrorists, you have to take out their families. They care about their lives. Don't kid yourself. But they say they don't care about their lives. You have to take out their families.
For Biden, to hear Trump tell it, Biden is a candidate who has been president for the last 47 years.
47 years, you've done nothing. 47 years, you've 47 years. Do it for 47 years.
But up on that stage, Biden took the competing roles of standing up to Trump, trying to send a message of policies, and being steadfast in the midst of chaos. None of these were accomplished very well. The more he stood up to Trump and fell back on name-calling, he looked less steadfast in his policy positions, and appeals to the heart were just lost. Alright, that's it for the main part of the video. If you're interested in why I characterize Donald Trump as suffering from pathological dishonesty, here's a list of falsehoods he stated just at Tuesday's debate. This information was compiled by the Associated Press, but it had been independently verified through multiple sources.
Excuse me, Portland, the sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump.
Facts? That's false. The sheriff of Multnomah County, Oregon, where Portland is located, said he does not support Trump now and will never support Trump.
Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. It was destroying families, destroying people. The cost, I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth?
The truth? That's not a reality. It's a future claim that he is making. You just have to believe Trump is telling the truth in order to roll with it. He states it like changes have already happened, which they have not.
Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
I want to ask you, we got a little bit more than a minute left in this
masks
segment.
Are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks good.
Trump is telling a story that leaves out key lessons learned as the coronavirus pandemic unfolded, attempting to raise doubts about the credibility of public health advice. Early on in the outbreak, a number of public health officials urged everyday people not to use masks, fearing a run on the already short supplies of personal protective equipment, PPE, needed by doctors and nurses in hospitals. But that changed as the highly contagious nature of the coronavirus became clear, as well as the fact that it can be spread by tiny droplets breathed into the air by people who might not display any symptoms.
Well, in swine flu, H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
The fact is, Trump frequently distorts what happened with the pandemic of 2009, which killed far fewer people in the United States than the coronavirus is killing now. That could be partly because that this virus is more deadly. So for starters, Biden as vice president wasn't running the federal response. And that response was faster out of the gate than when COVID-19 came to the U.S. Back then, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention's flu surveillance network sounded the alarm after 2 children in California became the first people diagnosed with the new flu strain in this country. About 2 weeks later, the Obama administration declared a public health emergency against H1N1, also known as a swine flu. And the CDC began releasing anti-flu drugs from the national stockpile to help hospitals get ready. In contrast, Trump declared a state of emergency in early March, 7 weeks after the first U.S. case of COVID-19 was announced, and the country's health system struggled for months with shortages of critical supplies and testing. More than 200,000 people have died from COVID-19 in the U.S. The CDC puts the U.S. death toll from the 2009-2010 H1N1 pandemic at about 12,500. After swine flu, the Obama administration put together a plan for a future, more deadly outbreak, which was shared with the incoming Trump administration.
As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
The fact is, he's exaggerating threats. Trump's claim is part of a month-long effort to sow doubt about the integrity of the election before it's even arrived, and to preemptively call into question the results. YouTube channel Legal Eagle has a great video focusing on the election fraud concerns. Spoiler alert, there's no evidence of it, and it would be really hard to do in regards to election tampering.
So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated.
The fact is, Trump is quoting Biden out of context. The former vice president, a graduate of the University of Delaware, did not say he attended Delaware State University, but he was making a broader point about his long-standing ties to the black community, because Trump is referring to remarks Biden often says on the campaign, typically when speaking to black audiences, that he goes way back with historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs. Biden has spoken many times over the years at Delaware State, a public HBCU in his home state, and the school says that's where he first announced his bid for the Senate. That was his political start. So Biden says, I got started out of an HBCU, Delaware State. Now, I don't want to hear anything negative about Delaware State. Biden told a town hall in Florence, South Carolina on October 2019, they're my folks. Biden often touts his deep political ties to the black community, occasionally saying he grew up politically or got started politically in the black church. In front of some audiences, he omits the word politically, but still with a clear context about his larger point. The statements are all part of a standard section of his stump speech, noting that Delaware has an 8th largest black population by percentage. A spokesman for the Delaware State University, Carlos Holmes, has said it took Biden's comments to refer to his political start, saying that Biden announced his bid for the U.S. Senate on the DSU campus in 1972. Biden's broader point is pushback on the idea that he's Johnny-come-lately with the black community, or that his political connections there are owed only to being Barack Obama's vice president.
But if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200% crime. It is crazy what's going on.
The truth is not quite. The statistics in Chicago are true, but those numbers are only a small snapshot of the crime in the city and the United States, and his strategy is highlighting how data can be easily molded to suit the moment. As for New York, Trump may have been talking about shootings. They are up in New York by about 93% so far this year, but overall crime is down about 1.5%. Murders are up 38%, 327 killings compared with 236, still low compared with years past. For example, compared with a decade ago, crime is down 10%. An FBI report released Monday for 2019 year of crime data found that violent crime has decreased over the past 3 years. Alright, so that was today's episode. I hope you liked it. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So what do you think? Did Trump have a good strategy going in of just trying to run ramrod over everybody? Does it show him to be strong? Should Biden just take one tactic of either being the stoic one, getting his message across? Or do you think stepping up to Trump is the better way? Or something that he has to do? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you next time.
Security Trust Fund.
And every time anyone points at Donald's actual record, what he said on national television, Donald yells liar. Let me tell you something. Falsely accusing someone of lying is itself a lie, and it's something Donald does daily.
Go ahead, Mr. Trump.
My son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it. And I'm proud of him.